All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's May 2-4 weekend. It's garden day. Let's get this going. I've got a tractor bringing me a big pile of compost right there. We had a little bit of a miscommunication, and I was hoping that he wouldn't till my beds, and I was just going to broad fork them, flame weed them, and then just lay the mushroom compost down. But we had a miscommunication, and he has tilled both of my beds. So I'm gonna have to build and measure and shape all these beds. So I've got about a whole extra day of work behind me, or ahead of me now. It is what it is. So I'll explain the process. Okay, so we have both beds, from this one's mine and that one's mine, right up to that water tap. So what we're gonna do is, starting at my coffee cup, we're going to measure out a 30-inch bed, a 14-inch pathway, a 30-inch bed, 14-inch pathway, all the way down. And then I'll show you what we got here. We're going to be putting my homemade tent pegs in the ground as the markers. And then we're going to be running string line up and down there to mark out lines. So we're going to start that. Okay, so the garden is not as wide as last year. Last year it was 18 feet wide. This year it's 13. So I've lost a substantial amount of real estate, which means I'm going to have less garden beds, which means I'm going to be able to pull out less food. But I guess I'll just have to adjust. So we've got a pin set up right over there. You see the orange pin? So that's where we're starting. We're going to measure a 30-inch bed, a 14-inch pathway, a 30-inch bed, 14-inch pathway, and we're just going to put the pins in. Well, that worked out not too bad. We have almost a 30-inch bed here at the end. Running down, it's a little flared. It kind of goes out on a bit of an angle, so we'll gain a few inches out there. So we've got bed, pathway, bed, pathway, bed, pathway, and bed. And then we're gonna just repeat that right across from that water line right there. All right, so here we are. So we've got all the stakes in here. We've got all the pins in there as well, where we've got it tied off to the second. We don't need to tie it to there. We're going to tie it to the second one, run it down to the second one, tie it off, cut it, tie it to the next one in line, bring it down here, tie it off, cut it, and work our way. And by the time we're done, we're going to have pathways and garden beds all marked out. So there we have it. We've got all of our strings. So we have our pathways and our beds. We got 4 beds. And then this outside bed is definitely wider than 30 inches. But that's okay, because last year, for those of you who are watching my channel, you'll probably remember we had rows of potatoes in here. And we had really bad Colorado potato beetles. So this year I'm going to move my potatoes to the other side. And then hopefully all the larvae that are here, partially, they also got tilled up, so I'm hoping a lot of them died. But so I think we're going to move potatoes over there. Or depending on how the bed's shaped out here, maybe I'll put the potatoes here. I mean, with the tiller that came through and everything, and he tilled the crap out of it, he probably chopped up most of the larvae. So I'm probably okay. So we're just going to kind of wing it. So now that we've got that marked and measured, and when you're building your beds, guys, don't walk on your bed where you're planting. Only walk on your pathways. As you can see, I've only walked on the pathways. I don't want to compress the soil. So next we're going to dig out the trenches or the pathways. We're going to dig them out, and we're going to put the material back onto the other beds. So they're all going to be raised beds with depressed pathways. And the reason we do that is because when it rains, the pathways, because they're depressed, hold the water into my garden beds without it running away. All these other people who just plant on flat ground, when it rains too much, all the water washes away. Not on mine. We hold that water in here like a water battery in the soil. All right, boys and girls. So we have all the beds and pathways dug out. And what I've done is, while I'm digging it out, because basically the garden overgrows in the fall and then in the spring. And as you can see, we're in the country. That's all fields. So all the crap that's in the main walkways here also grows into our beds. So when he tills it, most of it gets blended up. But as I'm digging out the pathways, I'm putting it, hang on, all the weeds that I see actively poking out, I just put in piles. And then I'm gonna walk up and down with a 5-gallon bucket and just collect it. And then once I've collected all the weeds in the big piles that you can see, I'll come through and I'll just give everything just a quick rake. And then once I've got it all raked, and I'm not looking for perfection, I'm just mostly looking for flat, then I'm going to start bringing 5-gallon buckets of compost and laying them on the beds. I don't know if I'm going to do that bed today or if I'm going to just focus and finish this, then move on to that. I guess I'm gonna kind of play it as I go. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 beds raked, pathways done. I cleaned up this edge for the most part to kind of keep the nature out. I'm not putting any compost on today because I want to get that other bed done. So now what I need to do is basically just pull up all the posts or the pins and the string. Hey, look, surprise, surprise. The ongoing yearly joke about how I garden right underneath the pathway to the airport, which is a couple clicks behind me. So now I got to do this side anyways. So we're going to do the same. We're going to measure out with the pins, 30 inches, 14, 30, 14, 30, 14, and do all this. So you guys kind of basically saw me do it over here, so I'll just get back to you when it's done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. So we've got both beds. We've got all the pathways dug. We have all of the top of it weeded. I'm not digging down because I'll be here for hours and hours and hours, but we're just weeding it and putting it in 5-gallon buckets. So that bed is done. That bed is done. And tomorrow we're going to put the 4 yards of mushroom compost on all the beds, and we're just going to use it. We're just going to do it bucket by bucket, which is a lot easier on the shoulders to do because it's not that heavy. And then after we get that all full of compost, we will rake it out and then start laying down all the geotextile there. And now I have to come up with a new plan for here because I was given an offer and I'm not putting potatoes in here anymore. So now I have 2 extra beds there and there that I have to plant more stuff in. So I have an extra, I don't know, 150 square feet or something I can plant in. So bonus. It's about 6 o'clock I started working on this at about 9 o'clock this morning. I've spent about 3 hours talking with some of the other gardeners. So all in all, it's a productive day, and we're going to start getting a move on. And tomorrow the water gets turned on the taps, and I'll probably start planting on Monday. That's the plan. Because tomorrow will probably take a while. I got to put all the infrastructure in. All the T-posts are going in for the tomatoes, for the cucumbers. I got to put in bean poles. I haven't figured out quite how I'm doing my beans yet this year, but I'm going to put beans in, and that's the plan. So stick around this year. We're going to be doing all kinds of awesome stuff, and I'm going to hopefully put some more tools in your toolbox for gardening. So grow good food, and I'll see you guys on the next one. See ya.